Let's start with the lucky and get increasingly impossible. Vesna Vulović, survival odds 1 in 20 million. January 26, 1972, Czech Republic. Vesna Vulović was aboard the JAT Flight 367 when a device exploded mid-flight, causing the plane to break apart. Vesna, who was near the rear of the plane, was trapped inside a section of fuselage that spiraled to the ground. Miraculously, the section landed in a snowy forested area where trees and the soft terrain helped absorb the impact. She was found with a fractured skull, broken legs, and several crushed vertebrae. She remained in a coma for weeks, but after extensive surgeries, she made an almost complete recovery. Despite being paralyzed from the waist down temporarily, she eventually regained the ability to walk and lived a normal life. She held the Guinness World Record for surviving the longest fall. After surviving the fall, Vesna was dismissed from her airline job due to unwanted publicity. Carlos Rodriguez, survival odds 1 in 50 million. 2000, Miami, USA. In 2000, Carlos Rodriguez was under the influence and was speeding down the road when he lost control of his car. The vehicle flipped, ejecting him through the windshield. But what made his case truly insane was the damage he sustained. He landed on his head so severely that doctors had to remove a significant portion of it to save his life. Miraculously, Rodriguez survived with only half a skull, a condition known as a craniovault defect. Though he suffered from cognitive impairments and personality changes, he could walk, talk, and function normally to an extent. His survival is credited to immediate medical attention, brain surgery, and the brain's incredible ability to adapt. 16 years later, he was arrested for trying to end someone's life. Then, he set his mattress on fire after a heated argument. Hugh Glass, survival odds 1 in 100 million. 1823, South Dakota, USA. Hugh Glass, a legendary American frontiersman, was on a fur-trapping expedition in 1823 when he was brutally mauled by a grizzly bear. The attack left him with a broken leg, exposed ribs, and deep gashes across his body. His crew, assuming he would die, left him behind with no supplies. But Glass refused to give up. Using sheer willpower, he set his own broken leg, packed his wounds with maggots to prevent infection, and began crawling towards civilization, 200 miles away. Over 6 weeks, he dragged himself across the wilderness, surviving on berries and scavenged animal carcasses. Eventually, he reached safety, recovered. After surviving the grizzly attack, Glass continued his career as a frontiersman. His life was taken by a group of Arikara warriors in 1833, 10 years after his legendary survival. His tale of survival became legendary and inspired The Revenant, the movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Anatoli Bugorski, survival odds 1 in 500 million. July 13th, 1978, Russia. In one of the most bizarre science-related accidents ever, Soviet scientist Anatoli Bugorski was working on a malfunctioning particle accelerator at the Institute for High-Energy Physics when he accidentally leaned into the path of a proton beam traveling at nearly the speed of light. The beam entered his skull through the back of his head and exited near his nose, burning a hole straight through his brain. He saw a flash brighter than 1,000 suns, but felt no pain. Doctors believed he would die within days due to radiation exposure, but astonishingly, he survived. Half his face became paralyzed, and he suffered from occasional seizures, but he continued to work in physics for decades. His survival baffled scientists, proving that the human body can sometimes endure the seemingly impossible. Juliane Koepke, survival odds 1 in 1 billion. December 24th, 1971, Peruvian rainforest, Peru. 17-year-old Juliane Koepke was on Lanza Flight 508 with her mother when lightning struck the aircraft, causing it to explode in mid-air. Still strapped to her seat, Juliane plummeted over 10,000 feet into the dense Amazon rainforest. Miraculously, she survived the fall with only a broken collarbone and some deep cuts, but the real test was surviving in the jungle. Armed with knowledge from her biologist parents, she followed a stream for 10 days, avoiding deadly wildlife and subsisting on rainwater. She was eventually found by local loggers and rescued. Her incredible survival story has since been retold in books and documentaries. Her story was adapted into the film Miracles Still Happen. Aron Ralstone, survival odds 1 in 5 billion. April 26, 2003, Blue John Canyon, Utah, USA. Aron Ralstone was on a solo hiking trip in Utah when an 800-pound boulder pinned his right arm against a canyon wall. With no way to escape and running out of water, he spent 5 days trapped, documenting his ordeal with a video camera. Realizing he was dying, Ralstone made a life-or-death decision. He used a dull multi-tool to amputate his own arm. After an excruciating self-surgery, he rappelled down a 65-foot drop and walked for miles until he was rescued by a family on a hiking trip. He became a motivational speaker and wrote the book Between a Rock and a Hard Place. His story was later adapted into the movie 127 Hours, starring James Franco. Mauro Prosperi, survival odds 1 in 10 billion. 1994, Sahara Desert, Desert, Morocco. During the 1994 Marathon des Sables, an ultramarathon across the Sahara Desert, Italian runner Mauro Prosperi was caught in a sandstorm and lost his way. With no water and temperatures reaching 120 degrees or around 49 degrees Celsius, he rationed his own urine and ate bats he found in an abandoned shrine to stay alive. After 9 days, he was found by nomads, weighing 35 pounds less and near death. His survival was due to his mental fortitude and extreme resourcefulness, making his story one of the most incredible desert survival tales ever recorded. Roy Sullivan. Survival odds 1 in 20 billion, 1942 to 1977, Virginia, USA. Roy Sullivan, a U.S. park ranger over the course of 30 years, was struck by lightning 7 times. When lightning hit, it releases a massive electrical current, up to 300 million volts, in an instant. This cause, Lichtenberg. Figures. These are the tree-like burn patterns left on the skin, resembling intricate veins or roots. They occur because electricity follows the body's nerve pathways and blood vessels, essentially printing a fractal-like scar across the skin. Each strike left him with burns, scorched hair, and once even knocked him unconscious. Yet, he kept working outdoors, seemingly attracting lightning like a magnet. He holds the Guinness World Record for surviving the most lightning strikes. Frane Selak. Survival odds 1 in 30 billion, 1962 to 2003, Croatia. In 1962, Frane Selak was on his way home by train when disaster struck. The train was suddenly derailing and crashed into an icy river, ending the life of 17 passengers. Selak, however, managed to swim to safety, escaping with only small injuries. 1 year later, he was flying on a commercial plane when a door malfunctioned mid-flight, sucking him out. He landed on a haystack while the plane hit the ground. 19 people didn't make it. After 40 long years of escaping the impossible, Selak won $1 million in the lottery in 2003. Debbie Kiley. Survival odds 1 in 50 billion, 1982, USA. Debbie Kiley was on a yacht sailing from Maine to Florida when the weather suddenly turned. A violent storm capsized the boat, tossing Kiley and her 4 crew members into the raging sea. They clung to a life raft, battling dehydration and hunger. One crew member went insane from dehydration and threw himself into the water, only to be eaten by sharks. Another crew member followed, yelling as sharks dragged him down while the others watched helplessly. Kiley and the only other survivor drank rainwater and kept their bodies half submerged to stay cool. On the 5th day, they were miraculously rescued by a passing Russian cargo ship. Her story inspired several survival books and was adapted into TV shows like I Shouldn't Be Alive. Beck Weathers. Survival odds 1 in 70 billion, 1996, Mount Everest, Nepal. Beck Weathers was attempting to climb Mount Everest when one of the worst mountaineering disasters in history unfolded. A dangerous blizzard struck while he was descending, causing near-zero visibility and freezing temperatures below -40 degrees. He collapsed from exhaustion and hypothermia, and rescuers left him for dead twice. His face was frozen solid, his hands turned black from frostbite, and his right arm was completely useless. After lying unconscious for 36 hours, he somehow woke up, stood up, and walked back to camp on his own. His nose, hands, and parts of his feet had to be amputated. In 2015, they made a movie about Beck Weathers embodied by the actor who played Thanos in the Avengers movies. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. Survival odds 1 in 100 billion, 1945, Japan. Tsutomu Yamaguchi was on a business trip in Hiroshima when an enormous explosion occurred. He was walking to work when suddenly the disaster device detonated just 3 kilometers away. The blast sent him flying through the air, shredding his skin and leaving him temporarily blind. He staggered through the ruined city, covered in burns, until he reached an underground shelter. Badly wounded, he decided to return home, to Nagasaki. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, the second device dropped directly over Nagasaki, again 3 kilometers away where he had just arrived. The reinforced building he was taking shelter in allowed him to survive the second explosion. Despite, his bandages burned straight off his skin and he got severe radiation poisoning for the second time. Yamaguchi is the only officially recognized survivor of both events. He lived a full life and passed on in 2010 in Nagasaki at the age of 93. If this video clicked, hit subscribe.